Hi everybody, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for our next event. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed that this time we've called it a live event, not a launch event, and that's a subtle change, but quite an important one. So back in June, it was very much about launching brand new products and services across the whole of Verve Group. Tonight, it's not about that, it's about us being live, it's about looking behind the scenes with us and what we're doing. And also, we are wanting to take the focus away from just Verve Group and focus on you, on advisors, your clients, and the broader financial services community. So there's some stuff that we'll talk about towards the end where we'll look to do that and to work together a lot more collaboratively. And the aim is hopefully, if this all goes to plan, we can do these once or twice a year. They will be live, they will be about sort of temperature gauging, financial services, checking in on us as an industry and where we're at, possibly doing the odd little launch because it's me and, you know, can't stay still for too long, but absolutely not rebuilding the entire Verve Group every 6 months because just break people. So I guess just a little summary of what to expect during today's show. First of all, we will do an update just on what's happened in the last 4 months since we launched our new services. And as I say, part of that is just around using it as a bit of a temperature gauge for finance, what we're seeing from firms. Hopefully that will help you to see if you're seeing similar with your own business and your clients. We'll check in on our hack team. So you might have seen that online already. I'll update you a little bit about, that, the hackathon, what it's about, what we're trying to achieve. If you registered with us via Eventbrite, you would have had the opportunity to put in a question to us. The questions have ranged from very interesting to utterly ridiculous, so thank you for those. If you are on Slido, some of those questions will start to appear throughout the programme, and it'll be really, really useful if you can respond to them because it'll actually help shape some of the stuff that we've got planned in coming months. But we also have a bit of a Q&A session coming up a little bit later on where we'll talk through some of the more serious questions and hope to answer them. And again, just get a bit of a feel for the vibe of what's out there in terms of finance, where it is right now and where we think it might be going in future. Also, if you registered in time via Eventbrite, you would have received our party pack and you'll have seen that it's pretty much very themed around the pub, only until 10 p.m, of course, no later. Everything in there is pub themed and that will tie in a little bit more with the podcast. So at 6 o'clock, there will be a rapid costume change by Joe and I, and we will aim to do our first ever That Mint podcast completely live. We are ever so slightly nervous about it. We find the podcast, the way that we tend to do it best and to get the message across to people outside of finance, that finance isn't that serious, is by letting our hair down, having a couple of drinks, having a bit of a laugh, which is absolutely fine when it's being pre-recorded and our producers can cut out the worst of it. We haven't got that filter tonight, so from 6 p.m. you can watch us attempt to not offend too many people, but you know, keep kind of breaking down a bit of the jargon around finance and again a little bit of a behind the scenes of exactly what it's like for us to record one of our podcasts. I guess that's kind of the running schedule for the next hour or two, and hopefully you can stick with us for the majority of it. For me personally, I just wanted to acknowledge that right now, as a business owner, I absolutely get the sentiment of just how confusing and how challenging the world is, the markets are right now. This constant state of flux that we're in, and the fact that every time you make a business decision and you think you know where you're going with you and your team and your clients for, you know, the next few months, all of a sudden it changes again. It's to be honest, it's even changed the stuff that we're going to do today, the stuff that we had planned to actually launch and talk through a little bit later. We had to change them last minute because there's just so much uncertainty in the air, and we understand how much that impacts on your business decisions. We know firms that have held off making big changes because it felt at one point, maybe around the end of August, it started to feel like maybe there was light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe we're coming through the worst of this and we'd start to get back to some sort of normality. And I think last week's announcements from the government and this new sort of 6-month time frame that they're starting to pin in people's heads shows that that's simply not the case. And maybe some of those decisions that, you know, you were hoping to kind of kick the can a bit further down the road, now's the time, it can't be kicked any further and those calls have to be made. Hopefully, as Verve Group, we can help with that. Hopefully we can help take away some of the uncertainty. That's very much what we did back in June. We kind of just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and dove in and made all of the changes that we thought we were going to need and we thought would be the case if COVID didn't kind of go away anytime soon, and it did have a long-term impact, which unfortunately has happened to be the case. We were absolutely over the moon last week to receive recognition for that. So the Great British Entrepreneur Awards awarded us in the North East category the Pivot Award, and that's to recognise the fact that when COVID hit and lockdown happened, we did pivot the business. We pivoted all of the businesses within Verve Group. It was challenging, it was really, really difficult, but it's turned out to be the right thing for us, and we were absolutely delighted to receive an award for it. We've gone forward to the Nationals and the awards, so fingers crossed for us for that. As I mentioned, we haven't rebuilt again because I don't want to break the team. What we have actually done is everything that we rebuilt and launched back in June, we've now had 4 months to kind of review them to see exactly how those services have taken, how financial services firms have developed, what they're now doing, what they think they might do in future. And based off that, we've actually now refined those services. So we've been able to really tailor what it is that we're offering. And again, knowing that the only certainty right now is uncertainty, we've been able to factor that into what we do, the services that we have, and actually the flexibility that we've really, really embedded into it to make sure that we can keep being responsive no matter what the government throws at us. So with all of that in mind, here's a little recap of the last 4 months and just how busy we have been across the whole of the Verve Group. Fab, so let's talk Hack. Hack is our hackathon, which is being run by the development team in Apricity compliance. I guess a little bit like we're doing with the podcast later in terms of looking behind the scenes, that's a bit what this is about. So I really wanted the advice community to see how amazing our internal development team are, how responsive we can be, that we can build the software that you need that will support your businesses, but also just exactly what goes into it. Because when we first launched Apricity, I was like, I've got this idea, it's a piece of technology, I presume we can build it in a week or two, and actually it took 12 months of scoping and coding, and it was just crazy, the work that goes into a bit of technology. So if you're ever looking at a system and think, why don't they just move that button to there, it's because they really can't just move that button to there. So we wanted to pull back that curtain a little bit, show you exactly what goes on behind the scenes, and just to challenge the team even more, we actually turned it over to financial advisors for them to vote on exactly what it was that they were going to build and they were going to code today. So the challenge started at 7 o'clock this morning, where they found out exactly what feature it was that they needed to create. It will end at 7 o'clock tonight, assuming they haven't already collapsed in a heap. We have bombarded them with pizza and drinks and, fanned them to keep them going throughout the day. And here's a little check-in from first thing this morning when they found out exactly what it was that they were facing. Right, fab everybody, welcome to our first ever hackathon. Hope we are very excited, not at all nervous about it. So as you know, we put it out to the market to see what they wanted us to build, and the options we gave people were a brand new sexy CPD tool and a tech query function where they could research all the other queries. Both pretty big challenges in 12 hours, but you know, we like to be challenged. So Jazz, would you like to reveal the survey results and what we'll be building? So, by a long shot, it appears to be a funky, interactive CPD tool. Sorry. Tiny challenge in 12 hours, Andrew. How are you feeling? So I think the CPD tool was probably the one chosen because there is so much changing right now in financial services. As of today, the new requirements for occupational CPD have come in, so I think that's a big impact on people.
Well, something like this will be exciting. You're building something from scratch and almost just dropped in it in the deep end and gone, right, deliver this in 12 hours, which is a big ask. You've got to try and work out what's the best way of actually achieving this. You've got that sort of added pressure of trying to deliver something in a very short period of time.
We just can see the role of technology in all different parts of finance, particularly in regulation. If it's something that typically feels quite dry and unengaging, technology is a great way of getting people involved in it and making it something that you want to do rather than have to do. Plus, yeah, we like pizza. Come on, marketing. Why don't we carve the day out?
For us, it's more around how the tool will look, how it will feel, and actually, I think the most exciting thing for us throughout the day is we've got some really cool stuff planned around kind of polls and things that we can get them involved. So they might be able to help pick some colours of some of the buttons or get involved in some of that kind of fun stuff. The main point of it really for us is that the audience are going to be using it, our clients are going to be using it, so it's really important that if they're going to use it, they should have some input. So we really want to get their ideas and get their feedback and make sure it's something that will work well for them.
So how exciting is that? I genuinely think it is unbelievable that today there are new requirements for advisors to have CPD specific to defined benefits, and today we are literally building the software to support that. I just think in any industry, by any measurement, that is, you know, super fast and super responsive. In the world of regulation, where we're not exactly known for being that snazzy and that kind of fast at things, I think it's just phenomenal. I'm so excited about what we're building in Apricity and what we can do with our development team. So we will check back in on them in a little bit. I did say it's not all about us, so one thing that will really help and kind of we'll pull together towards the end is to answer some of these Slido questions. So there should be one that's appeared right now. This is just going to help us kind of test the system to make sure it's working. And so I used one of the not so serious ones, which was submitted, which is how many paraplanners does it take to change a light bulb? So thank you, whoever submitted that. We needed to put some multi-choice responses in for you to choose from. So the options are A, 12, B, what's a paraplanner, or C, only one, but with a financial planner given very detailed instructions. So sorry for the cheesy finance joke, but hopefully if you can vote right now on your Slido, it'll let us know A, that it works, and B, that you actually know what a paraplanner is, which would be really helpful. So before we go into kind of the bigger stuff and what we want to do to work with you and what we want to do to really help, I guess, protect financial services and where we're going in future, let's do a little update across Verve Group, and we'll start with Kim talking about all things Apricity.
Thanks, Kathy. So what's been happening at Apricity since the last time you joined us? Well, just to give you an update on where we're at with everything we announced at Project 2030, obviously the aim of that was to just add a little bit of sparkle to everything that we do across the Verve Group. And when we all went to work from home, we wanted to make sure we were keeping up our responsibilities to our clients. So we have enhanced the way that we deliver our ongoing managed support. Thankfully, Apricity's always predominantly been an online business, but we've enhanced the quarterly check-ins, made them much more engaging, so it includes personal development plans as well as regulatory updates. And they've been a big hit, so it'll be a permanent fixture for Apricity going forward. I think a big success for us, though, has been the reimagined events. So as you're probably all aware, we've always had a CPD calendar. We've always provided a different variety of CPD events, one of them being our monthly talk webinars. So they've just continued as normal. We actually did one last week with Jojo from Parasols. You can find it on our webinar archive if you want to go back and take a look. But we had to reimagine and redesign the way that we delivered our Grow quarterly CPD events and also our master workshops as well. So previously we did these face to face, and we didn't want them to just be us talking at you for hours and hours on Zoom. We wanted them to be engaging, to make sure that you're actually getting real benefit from them. So we've took them online, we've made them interactive, much like the live events that we've started to do. And I'm not actually making this up. We have had feedback from a client who said it was one of the best events she's ever been to. So we've got plenty in the diary for the rest of the year. Obviously, DB content is a new one that we've just rolled out. We did one a few weeks ago. Any of you DB advisors, as of today, there's an extra 15 hours worth of CPD you need to be doing. So there's a couple in the diary for the rest of the year if you want to go and check them out. So as Kathy has already announced, we've got underway our first hackathon, which has been happening behind me. I've been checking in on them all day. They're doing a fantastic job. And one of the reasons we wanted to do the hackathon is I think we at Apricity, we want to just be a little bit different. We don't just want to be standard tick in a box compliance. So a large part of Apricity, as you know, is the software that we have, that we built ourselves, and especially for the light service. One of the things that we'd said last time was that we were going to launch our first focus group for clients to give us their feedback so that we can help improve the system and make the changes that you want to it. So we held our first focus group, and thank you so much to the clients who took part. We got so much valuable feedback from it that actually we've been working on those developments ever since. So we will be hosting more focus groups throughout the coming year over the next 12 months. But take a look at the developments that we've been able to make so far. So as well as updating the Apricity software, we've also decided to give the Apricity website a refresh too. Clearly marketing has sat around twiddling their thumbs all day, so we thought why not give them another task. The Apricity website, it just hasn't really changed over the past few years since we launched, even though the Apricity services really have, they've really evolved. So we've added on there our bespoke services, and also we've recently launched the Apricity Enable TNC service. So If you want to head over to the Apricity website, apricitycompliance.co.uk, whether you're a client or whether you're new to Apricity, it has full details of all of the services that we offer on there, as well as much more detail now on our events page. So I mentioned earlier a big hit has been our reimagined Grow and Master events. You can take a look at all of the dates that we've got penciled in for the rest of the year. Also on there, we've got a free resources page. So if you love a freebie, head over to the resources page. We know the DB changes have obviously gone live as of today. There's a special DB splash page on there if you are still a DB firm. And of course, if you're looking for some CPD, there's also a webinar archive of all the previous talk webinars that we've done. So hopefully you all like the look of the new website. Please go and take a look, have a look at the services that we've now got live on there, also the resources page and everything that you can download and take from there. So what does this mean for clients over the next 6 months? Well, I think it's safe to say that it's going to be another 6 months of uncertainty. It certainly felt like since the last event we were taking a few steps forward. We could get back to the pub, we could get back into the office, and following sort of the recent announcements over the last few weeks, it seems like we're taking a few steps back again. But whatever happens over the next few months, Apricity will still be here as we have been over the past 6 months. We'll still be supporting clients, whether we're in the office, whether we are working remotely. We'll keep adapting our services and innovating as we have done over the past 6 months to keep up with this new way of working, as we're all calling it. Obviously, your FCA requirements and your ongoing requirements, they aren't going anywhere. We still need to be able to manage our teams effectively, keep up to date with things like CPD hours. We've got a load of ways that we can help you do that through either the technology or the CPD events and resources that we have on offer. So please get in touch if there's anything that Apricity can be doing to help you over the next 6 months. We hope to hear from you. And back over to you, Kathy.
Fab, thank you, Kim. So hopefully you've seen from the things that she talked about there and also the hackathon, which is ongoing and we looked at earlier, that Apricity is very different. It maybe isn't what you normally think of when it comes to compliance. And that was always the aim when I started the business. But absolutely, as Kim said, we are here, we are stable. The world has turned upside down and is continuing to for goodness knows how long. But that's part of the advantage of being part of the Verve Group and something much bigger, that we are absolutely not going anywhere anytime soon. So thanks for the update, Kim, and time to head over to Nat to find out a little bit about Art of Finance and what they've been up to over the last few months.
Thanks, Kathy. Is there anybody else who's feeling a slight sense of deja vu? Because I know I, for one, am absolutely feeling it. Kathy and Kim, I'm sure, have just touched on the fact that it's been a funny old couple of months, and we here at the Art of Finance are absolutely feeling it too. Apparently summer came and it went again, and yeah, kids back at school, and apparently we're not too far away from Christmas, but less of that. I wanted to tell you a bit around kind of where we are right now as far as the Art of Finance is concerned. And quite frankly, in short, we kept our word from when what we gave at Project 2030 back in June, and that was that we were going to keep on grafting. So back then we launched 9 brand new online courses, which was phenomenal at the time. We showed you our new swanky e-learning platform, which was, you know, a wish come true. But we did say we had 1,000,001 other ideas up our sleeve in terms of new course content, and basically that's what we've been working hard on over the last few months. So back in August, we launched another additional 7, which means we stand here today with 16 online courses, which quite frankly is absolutely phenomenal. I joked earlier, it's tough. It was tough going. We put our heart and soul and the blood, sweat and tears, which is great. But the reality is it's absolutely been worthwhile. We've needed that to keep moving. We've been talking to you guys in terms of what's been needed and what would help you as far as training needs for either yourself or the team were needed. So every time we get that type of feedback, whether it be a review on a course, it really means a lot. Yes, because it boosts morale at this end, but equally, it just lets us have that insight in terms of how we can make your lives much easier. So please do keep those reviews coming. But like anything that's new when you're building from scratch, I feel like the important thing really is being able to sit back and be comfortable in being able to watch it play out. So what we thought was going to be most popular at the time, has that happened? What's worked well, what's perhaps not worked as well as we once thought. And yeah, just being comfortable to see that play out, and that's exactly what we've been doing, and we've seen a real variance in popularity of courses, which we find interesting. We've pulled together a little VT just in case you find it interesting too. So in the words of Joe from Project 2030, roll VT. So how was that? Was there any surprises in there? Certainly some for us. Back in June, The Art of Suitability flew off the shelves. It was by far the most popular, which was really interesting to see, because actually it wasn't the one that I thought would be the most popular back then, but it was. What would I know? However, in more recent weeks, we have seen that start to taper off, and it's probably no surprise, given the fact that the FCA have announced the fact that they are delaying their review now. And kind of the complete opposite of that, actually, we've seen the art of defined benefits ever increasing over in recent weeks, and obviously that is great news, because it means that you're all busy planning and preparing for the fact the DB changes that have come into place. I was going to say the 1st of October, but I'll say as of today, which is just quite frankly crazy that we're already in October. But as well as being able to see those trends, yes, it is insightful. We've also just took our time to actually speak with existing clients and students, and, just take the time to be able to ask, some of the challenges that they're facing at the moment. And without a shadow of a doubt, the same things keep cropping up. How do we keep my staff, engaged and morale up? How do I continue to manage performance? Even more specifically, so the firms that rely on almost on-the-job training, like, actually, what can I do now where I can give that same level of support and guidance, but suddenly we're not under the same roof or side by side in the office? And, they're all massively valid points, and the fact that we're, the threat of another lockdown, and we're all currently back to settling into the throes of remote working, absolutely valid points, and quite frankly is something that we've had to address ourselves, which is always interesting. So with all of that in mind, the fact that, yes, I mentioned earlier, we do have our e-learning platform. We've been playing around with the system with some extra features in there, actually to be able to make it more user-friendly for actual line managers to be able to have oversight and control to some extent of their team's development. What we have found actually in the last couple of months is that a lot of firms are actually buying a bulk of courses for whether it be teams or full departments, and very much considering it almost as a outsourced training solution. There's a framework there that they can see their members of the team go through over a period of time. They can set them deadlines, they can see their progress, who's completed it, who hasn't, that type of thing. So yes, we've been playing around with our e-learning platform a bit more, tinkering, which is not the technical term, don't judge, there's a reason why I'm not in the dev team. But yeah, just making sure that actually it adds more value to managers and not just the student alone. So for anybody who hasn't seen the system, we'll have a quick look, but equally let's focus on some of the manager oversight, which is new to the system too. And just lastly, before I wrap up and give the floor back to Kathy, I obviously couldn't finish without telling you what's in store at the Art of Finance for the next couple of months. There's three things really that I suppose you need to take away from today. One is that we're busy creating exam support content, which will be available online and via our e-learning platform in the same way our courses are. It's going to be suitable for those who just want to have, some one-off bits of support around maybe a particular RO exam that has proven to be their nemesis. We'll be creating it in our usual style, our usual approach, and it's just an injection of relatable content rather than being able to make sense of the same words in the same study guides that they've currently got. The second one is that we're bundling up our express courses. So for those who need the reminder, they are typically your annual test type of topics, so your GDPR, your complaints and whistleblowing, and actually we're going to package them up into one CPD bundle rather than having to purchase each course for each person. It just makes it much more cost effective and easier to manage. And thirdly, perhaps more exciting for me, a personal excitement, is that we're bringing back our supported programmes. Now, that's most exciting for me because it's the real premise of why we created the Art of Finance in the first place. It was to be able to guide and support somebody who either has very little or perhaps no experience of financial services at all, but being able to guide them and support them and give them a really structured framework which is going to mean that they achieve the qualification that they need, but also the practical skills that they need to do the day-to-day job well. So that's coming back as of January enrolment. It's open now. Please do get in touch if you think that's your way to go. And I'm sure Kathy will probably tell you a little bit more around some of the thoughts that we've got across the Verve Group on how we can achieve that collectively as an industry as well. But more than that, it's actually thinking about, what the last few months have taught us, and, for us and perhaps many others, it's just about that importance of understanding difference. We are all very different. Our motivations for learning are different, our challenges, the obstacles that we perhaps overcome, and even the where and when we challenge. So for us, the important thing is that actually we continue to build, new solutions and new services that actually suit a range of needs. So, we've got our e-learning courses, which absolutely will continue to be the best friend of those who prefer and want to study independently, but equally those who, like myself, perhaps want something more structured, much more supportive in nature over a period of time. Then our supported programs will absolutely be there, and perhaps the way to go for you guys. So losing my voice, I think that's pretty much it from me, which, whistle stop to it. I'm sure I'm stood here in another few months and telling you, all about the wonderful things that have happened. But right now I need a drink. So Kathy, it's back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Natalie. Studio, also known as just being 2 metres away from you. I think, as Nat said there, kind of one of the key things with Art of Finance, but with all of the businesses within Verve and kind of much more broader, it's becoming about flexibility. It's, I mentioned at the beginning how hard it is to deal with such change all the time, but actually the ability to flex, to have a range of courses, to be able to adapt to what people need, where and when, and kind of representing that across all of the businesses, and something that you might start to be doing more and more in your own firm. I do think that's key, and I think it's probably the thing that stops this change being quite as scary. It's where the opportunity comes in. It's absolutely something that we'll keep on embracing, and I speak to lots of you all the time anyway. I would love to hear what things you're doing and where you're bringing extra elements of flexibility into your firm too. So that was fab. So much going on as always, and now time for Jo to update us on all things Parasols.
Yeah, thanks Kathy. Remember back in June when we were all hopeful that this was only going to last a couple of weeks and we'd be back to normal and we wouldn't fall foul of the COVID key law? Well, didn't always go to plan. But what did go to plan was everything that we planned to do at work, which was just get stuck in and start to offer new services and new things that will help the advisor community, which is at the core value of where we are at Verve Group. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to go back over and reflect on the things that we did from the Parasols side, which was 3 major new offerings, and talk a little bit about them and what we've refined and what we've renewed in light of the fact that it seems this current crazy climate is just going to remain current and just get crazier. The first thing that we offered was our virtual paraplanning service. As a reminder, this was where you could take your paraplanner to your meeting with you via Zoom or whatever your chosen interactive meeting system was. So you can basically debrief with your paraplanner, take them to the meeting. They would run live cash flow, live protection quotes, help you with any technical queries, just be on hand without having to worry about the logistics of a travelling paraplanner who's maybe hours out of the office. They can literally log into the Zoom or whichever system, attend the meeting, do all of the follow-up, and it's just a really good service to allow an extra layer of support to your client in a time when they need reassurance more than ever. Initially, I think the take-up on this was people were very, very interested. How would it work? What would it involve? But there was a lot of feedback from advisors saying that at the minute they're looking to just kind of sit tight, wait for the normal to come back, couldn't wait to get back to do face-to-face meetings. So actually they weren't sure that if this was a long-term process or if they would just use it occasionally. I think as time goes on, and certainly with the new announcements that are being made regularly, this probably is the new normal. There probably will be a longer period of face-to-face, of non-face-to-face meetings and telephone calls and video meetings. So actually now's a really good time to start embedding this kind of process, and we do expect it to take off pretty soon too. One of the biggest successes of the services that we offered back in June was our ASR service. This is our annual review service and is quite timely to reflect on this because the FCA have said that despite everything going on, all of the craziness, it is more important than ever that if you're providing a service to your client, you show that you're providing that service. If you're taking any kind of fee, you need to be confirming the suitability. And we know on top of everything else how difficult that can be. As a summary, what we do is we offer as a subscription service, so a bit like a gym membership, but potentially one that gets used. You pay per client, per month, and we do everything for that ASR. So we will get all of the information, do the analysis, do the report, book the meetings, do any follow-ups, send out fact finds, everything you could possibly need to do with that client. All you need to do is confirm whether the plan is suitable or make a recommendation if it's not. Obviously, we don't give the advice, but everything else we do for you, and it's from as little as £14.50 a month per client. So it's just absolutely gone through the roof. I would suggest that if you are interested, there's information on the website, but we do keep our spaces limited just to make sure that we can maintain our service levels. So if you're interested, let me know as soon as possible. And I can give you some more information on that, but take away that pain in the ASR, as we like to say. The third and final offering that we did, and it's again been extremely popular, is our interactive reports. As a summary, it's where, previously you might have provided a suitability report to your client. It's a huge document on paper, plonks through the post. There is just half a chance that the client has read it all, and probably, even less than that. We've always at Parasols tried to make our reports as engaging as possible, lots of colours, lots of charts, lots of infographics, but I've always been aware that by the nature of them, they've still been really long and still not very engaging for the client. So what we did in June was completely ripped up that paper rule book and decided to do interactive reports. Basically, the client will get a link which they click on, and their report is only really a few pages long and everything's embedded in it. There's videos to explain things, infographics, you hover on things, there's animations. It is so engaging to the client, and it's been hugely popular with clients and with advisors. One of the interesting facts about it is that you're also able to analyse that report, have a look and see where the client's engaged the most, what areas need more work, what they're really interested in, which parts they stay on the longer, which has put us in a really interesting position in that I feel we know more about what's engaging in a suitability report than even the FCA or any compliance company. What was really interesting about this is that although the reports were very popular, what was also interesting is that it's evolved. So a lot of people contacted us and said, wow, this is amazing, innovative, groundbreaking, all of those lovely words. How do we do it? We don't want you to do our reports. We would like to do them ourselves. And we thought, oh, well, here at Verve Group, very good like that, very charitable. How can we provide you with a service to allow you to do it yourself? So we've set up a new offering, which provides you with the software to do it, training to get it started, and we can also build templates for you. Here's a little video that might explain a little bit more. Yep, so that's where we are in the last 6 months for Parasols, bringing it right back up to the present day. And speaking of the present day, because I'm so young and hip and have my finger on the pulse, today is literally the day that the defined benefit changes came out, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Policy Statement 20/06, excitingly named, came out today, which talks about the new regulations around giving advice on defined benefits. As we've already seen, the guys in Apricity are doing a huge hackathon, just love it, nerding out, to help you support that with a CPD tool. In addition, across the Verve Group, we've also provided some additional services to help you through this time. Our stance in the Verve Group is that while we completely agree there needs to be regulations around it, it's been a funny old advice area for a long time. What we've actually seen is the detriment to that is that there's so many advisors with the PI liabilities and just all of the additional regulations stepping away from this market, and us who care so much about the advisor community and the end client, I suppose we're concerned that it's not very helpful for that client. There are still people who need to get advice, whether that advice is to transfer or not. So the restricting of the market and the amount of advisors in there is, a concern for us. But what we can do is just make it as easy as possible for those advisors who remain in the market. Part of that is exactly this, the CPD tool that Apricity are doing. But what we've also done is created a whole new resource with a variety of things on there that would help you in a number of different ways. If you check out the Apricity website, we've got a new DB debrief page on there, which they've deliberately given me to say because it's obviously really difficult, so thanks for that, guys. On there, you'll find a free white paper which talks about compliance guidelines, best practices, how to pull together a really compliant file. There's also a really simple high-level summary page on there which tells you everything that you would need to know. There's also a 45-minute webinar which provides some kind of deeper training where the compliance guys really dig deep into what you'll need to know in the defined benefit arena. In addition, we offer through the Art of Finance additional courses for defined benefits and upskilling and training in that area. We can also offer direct interactive training. So we're just really kind of doing everything we can across the Verve Group to make it as easy as possible. From Parasol's point of view, we've amended all of our services to take into account the new rules. So our reports will now have the one-page summary available that you have to do. We've also, just because I'm nice like that, decided to provide a free template for that on our website. In case you haven't yet, set yours up, it has only come out today. Feel free to check that out. We've also provided a personal charging document template for you to use as you wish for your clients. It's another regulation that you'll need to follow. And in addition, we're offering a new service. One of the regulations that's come out is around offering abridged advice. So what we'll offer at Parasols is the option for us to do your data gathering, getting all of that information to provide abridged advice, and also a shortened abridged advice report. It's just a little thing, but something that we can try and do to help. If you are interested, check out our website and certainly the Apricity debrief website. In fact, we've got another little video which might be able to help explain a bit more. Thank you.
Fab. So that was an update from all the businesses. Busy as ever. We realised that the Art Finance video didn't play and you saw the Verve one twice, so sorry about that. But we did say that we would go over some of the questions that have been submitted, and a number of them are in Slido. So hopefully I can filter in. It's not working. I'm still talking, but it looks like it's not working.
It's not the end of the live one.
No. What have you got? You can? Oh, okay, so you can hear me. You can't see me. Do you know what? Live, it's wonderful. If you can hear us, that will have to do. Joe, say hi.
Hi.
Nat.
Hey.
Kim.
Hey.
Okay, so we'll keep talking while the tech guys go absolutely insane and dance some shots and try and fix the visual. So one of the questions was, how many power planners does it take to change a light bulb? The vast majority of people kindly said only one, but with a planner giving them entire instructions. Joe?
Sounds about right. I would suggest that it's at least less than what it would take a planner.
Oh, controversial.
I know,
Interesting. One was around technology in the future and how much we think it will increase, and will finance be more dependent on technology. And actually, the last time I checked in, there was 100% of people said yes. Nat, have you got any thoughts on that?
101%.
Ah.
I also say yes. However, not going by tonight stakes. So I'll just it comes with the caveat. Yes, absolutely.
Technology, if it's just audio.
Absolutely.
Are we back?
It's
Ta-da! Hi,
everyone.
everyone. We're cool. It's fine.
I've got lipstick on now.
Woo! So, speaking of technology that works, Kim, have you got a little update for us on the hackathon?
Yeah, okay, so live updates. I haven't dared looking up there all day, so it's a little bit tense in there, I will admit. But just over an hour to go, seem to be on track. Will someone grab us a coffee? I think that's about the 15th coffee today. So.
Vodka.
I mean, yeah, I think we all need vodka now.
Espresso martini.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think it's helping. Sorry, guys, for me going in and going, hey, nerds, how's it going? So,
18
apologies.
times.
Yeah. It wasn't funny the first time.
We did also ask on Slido how people feel about jargon and what's their most hated piece of jargon in financial services, and there was a lot of feedback around all of it. We just hate all jargon. Joe, what about you? What's your worst piece of financial services jargon?
It's exactly that, isn't it? It's just that it's all jargon. There's acronyms, there's backronyms, there's just everything. There's the ISA, the LISA, the NISA. There's just so many. I know Kim and I were talking about this the other day, about how much you hate SIPs versus KIPs versus everything. It's just horrific,
Don't get
isn't
started.
it?
Yeah.
If it confuses us in financial services, it's going to confuse you outside of it. So, drop
Wasn't
the
there a
jargon.
question earlier from the forum actually around ASRs?
Yeah,
yes.
There you are.
Yeah,
Even within
ASR,
finance.
annual service reviews. But actually, somebody asked if it was age, sex, race. So, the least said about that, the better.
Put all the jargon,
Yeah,
all of
put the
it.
jargon.
And the last question, well, not the last, there was lots, but we can't cover them all. One of them was, how do you think we can introduce more people to financial services? And it was a really interesting question because it's actually something we've been working on and takes us really nicely into the next bit if the technology works. So we've got huge plans to change financial services, and it's something that we're passionate about at Verve, and it's been building up over a number of years, and we know there's a huge amount to be done. But right now, the world is upside down and people are struggling and everybody's concerned about themselves, their family, their businesses, their future. So as much as we want to start to implement some change, we know it's very important to just take it one step at a time and kind of not overreach. We thought about what we can do to kind of get the ball rolling. So the first thing that I thought might be an interesting idea is when we did our live event back in June, last time I checked, there's about 1,300 people had actually watched that. And I realised that if every one of those people had or did choose to recommend financial services podcasts to people who don't normally listen to podcasts, and obviously we've got one at That Mint podcast. There's other brilliant podcasts out there. Meaningful Money is a brilliant one by Pete Matthew. It doesn't need to be a particular one, but actually if everybody who watched our last video got 3 people to start to listen to podcasts, that would immediately mean 5,000 people in the UK that are starting to embrace financial services a little bit. They're starting to educate themselves. They're just starting to break down those boundaries bit by bit. And I think it's really important that as an example of how it can be a small thing, but when there's a lot of us doing it, it can really have a big change. So that would be my first challenge to you, is if you haven't already, find some interesting podcasts. If you don't want them to be sweary, not that many podcasts, but actually go and get 3 new people out there that don't listen to them right now and get them to engage and just start to think about finance and start to embed it in their life bit by bit. That is only a start, but I mentioned that the question that had come in is how do we introduce more people to financial services? And we've had a bit of a brainwave. We think we've got something a little bit exciting that can really start to make the impact. And in the same way, it's looking for a small thing, but from a lot of people. So we've put together a little video to tell you all about it. And again, not at all nervous about the video and the tech working. Here we go. In financial services, there are often polarising opinions. But the one thing we've all agreed on for many years is the need to attract more people to the industry, for them to choose it as a career. The well-documented advice gap is only going to get wider as the advisor population retires, and we have a long way to go before people are actively choosing finance as their career path. If the industry shrinks, all of our businesses shrink. But right now, while the coronavirus is turning the world upside down, it's actually creating an opportunity, and it is one that we in finance should make the most of. At this time, there are 900,000 people in hospitality alone who are still on furlough. It's expected that up to 4 million people are currently at risk of redundancy, which means we're going to have a nation of people looking for new roles. And this means we have the chance to start to attract them to the world of finance. We know many firms won't be thinking about hiring right now, but we also know that the current situation won't last forever. The world will start turning again, our businesses will thrive, and we need to start to build that pipeline of people to help us to grow. There's a saying which is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. So, what can we do? The Verve Group is launching an industry-wide not-for-profit initiative. The aim of it is to attract individuals to finance, to start their training and to build up a pool of people who are actively choosing financial services for their career. We will create the campaign, filter down the applicants and run the training courses for no fee. We'll use our existing Art of Finance framework to deliver both exam and practical skills training in a range of financial services careers. We'll target people who are either out of work having been made redundant or unhappy in their job and looking for a fresh start. Think of it as an open university course. They can study in their own time over 1 or 2 years to get the skills and qualifications to eventually move into jobs in finance. While we'll do everything that we can, there is a cost in getting individuals their diploma in financial planning. For each trainee to get their qualification, it costs the equivalent of £85 a month over 2 years. And this is where you can come in. If every advice firm, provider and asset manager sponsored just one place, this would be over 5,000 additional people in financial services. Just imagine the impact that that breath of fresh air could have. It won't be overnight, but this will be the diverse, innovative generation of entrants that will really help to push financial services forward and that will help us build it into a great profession. And if that's not enough of an incentive, for every trainee place your firm sponsors, when your business is ready to grow, you can access our database of trainees to recruit somebody suitable and there'll be no recruitment fees to you. When the world settles down, people are going to need financial advice more than ever. Help us to make sure that there's a solid, robust profession here ready to help them. It's a difficult time right now for everyone, but we're not powerless. By coming together, we're able to do something big and protect all of our futures. We know it's a scary, scary time right now, but we don't think this is the time to be passive and wait and see what happens to financial services. It's actually the time for us all to pull together, to be proactive and to actually control the way and the direction that financial services takes. So we really hope that you'll support our initiative. You can go to www.weareverve.co.uk/change and start to commit and pledge some of your support on there. You'll also see on there that even if all you've got to give right now is some time, and I appreciate this sounds like a charity video, I'm sorry, it isn't intended to be like that, but it absolutely is an initiative and it is about us pulling together. If all you've got right now is to give some time, we are going to work together in terms of creating internal focus groups and collaborating, because it's wonderful to bring new people into financial services, and I do think the children are our future. But also we need to work together, we need to change. We know that there's a huge amount that needs to be different in financial services, and that can only happen if we all pull together and we all agree the way that that should look. One of the last polls on Slido was, do we think that people outside of financial services think of it as an industry or a profession? And we all know we want it to be a profession, and we're all working towards it. But actually the polls say exactly what you would probably instinctively expect, is that still around 68% were saying industry. So there is a lot of work to do, but absolutely I think now's the time for us to unify, for us to pull together and to start to make that change. We're planning on doing a huge amount at Verve Group, as we've just kind of shown in that video. And even more than that, because it's just as important for us within finance to develop and to change. Across the Art of Finance, we just decided today, which is why it's not in Natalie's video, to pull together, to offer 50% off all of our Art of Finance courses for all of the rest of 2020. We kind of feel like now's the time, the world's a bit weird, you know, it's kind of an odd end of the year, and everybody can just really focus on their own skills, their own development, really developing exactly who you've got in your business already, and then hopefully next year you're ready to bring on all of these lovely new people that we're aiming to attract. So lots and lots and lots going on. Hopefully you're going to stick around for that Mint podcast. It is a little bit less formal than the work stuff, and I think we are all in need of a glass of wine and that informality. So thank you so much for joining us. We've already had amazing feedback during the course of this. I've been keeping an eye on the YouTube comments, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it, and I look forward to working with everybody as part of Verve and We Are Change.
Do you listen to the podcast?
I've listened to bits of it. I haven't listened to all of it.
Why not?
Am I looking at you?
One thing that we've learned from the podcast, you'd know if you've been listening, is that there's no ideal age to retire. But to the nearest century, when do you think Joe Campbell was born?
The 18th.
I think she was born in the 16th century.
She's gonna go in.
I'll be kind. I'll go 19th.
Why the 16th?
I don't know, when is that?
Is that kind?
Do you know how centuries work? Kathy Harrison is apparently a fellow of the Personal Finance Society. But if she was a pretentious Starbucks order, what kind of coffee would she be?
Ooh, I would say,
Oh, that's a really hard question. You haven't prepped me on these.
oh, I don't know.
Oh, she'd be like a fancy coconut latte with a double shot of espresso and some caramel syrup in there.
An iced latte with coconut milk.
She's quite fancy.
Not because she's like an ice queen or anything.
No! No.
So I think she would be a soy latte with an extra shot of magic.
That sounds quite
Just
cute.
because she's very extra.
Lastly, what do you think of when you hear the word mint?
Mint. Oh, probably Werther's original after the last podcast that we did. It's been a long week. I just think of the herb from cocktails.
Hey Joe's voice in my head. Hold on, to mint that.
Mint podcast. Yeah, mint podcast.
Wow, I mean, they're really excited about Kathy's new initiative. After that really important financial services initiative, we thought we'd kind of change the tone up a little bit and treat you to a little cheeky live
Behind the scenes.
Us. That Mint podcast.
Can we just prove that it's live? How are you feeling after the last hour and some of the minor technical difficulties that we experienced?
It's one of
Has
them
anyone
things.
else even?
My favourite bit was when my favourite bit was when Nat said, "Oh, was there any surprises in that video?" And I thought, "Oh yes, the one where it wasn't that video." So there was that. I enjoyed it.
Also, please feel free to be impressed at a 4-minute turnaround, which is outfit changes, a bar being created, and an audience shipped in.
I am.
I know.
I was like Naomi Campbell there. There was just like loads of guys just helping me get dressed, and I was all tall and thin and in the 90s, but you know. Then it was just me, so it wasn't a thing. So yes, exactly that. So today we are launching. Get ready to be excited, guys. Series 2.
Series.
Not season, because we're not American. Series 2 of That Mint podcast. Quick poll, who thought we'd get a second series? Oh, yeah. Interestingly quiet, which is amazing. And I know the producers didn't because they're just still in shock. But what we decided to do, so when we launched our podcast, it was all very much around bringing more people into finance, bringing it out to kind of outside of financial services, wasn't it? It was a big thing about that.
Drinking wine
at work. How else can we bring that into the day? That was helpful. And we had this big mission to do that, and we didn't know what we were doing.
No.
Let's be honest. So we just sat together, drank wine.
Yep.
In fact, the first episode was just on your sofa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was interesting. Speaking of interesting, we've got a game, haven't we?
We did. Too soon.
Yes, yeah. So we decided to do this, and we didn't really know what we were doing. We kind of fluffed it for the first 6 months, but actually it just went down really, really well. We've had thousands of downloads, loads of subscribers, lots of listeners, huge amount of feedback, and everybody just genuinely seems to like it, which made us think, oh no, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to actually do something a bit professional.
To do it properly.
Yeah, we'll have to do it properly. So today marks the end of series 1. the start of series 2, in which we'll change it up a bit. Don't worry, it won't always be live. You won't have to get to see this. But it will be more of a structured format. So actually, instead of us just rambling along about anything that comes to mind, generally is the way we've done it so far.
There'll still be quite a lot of rambling. Just feel like they'll be in pockets.
Pockets of rambling. So the new series will be more of a magazine format.
Yeah.
So we're going to have an educational piece, an interview, probably a cheeky little game, and, you know, rambling,
And
for
wine.
want of a better word. So I'd just like to ask everyone to join me.
Too soon. I've got stuff. So I've got things to say.
And there'll be some
I'm involved
interruptions. I
occasionally.
imagine there'll be interruptions.
So yeah, exactly as Joe said, it has been amazing and it's been brilliant feedback. We did start to think, how do we look at kind of what we do in future and change it up? And also, as we mentioned in kind of the bit that was before this, for people who've only just joined us, it's a little bit of a behind the scenes. So yes, we won't normally have a video on us because it is an extra level of but it's just, I think it's just nice to kind of see exactly what happens when we record a podcast. But so there's a couple of things. One is, if you are following along and you want to join in, the hashtag is #ThatMintAfterparty. So feel free to pop onto Twitter, including you guys. You're welcome to get on Twitter. It's fine. You know, you can share with your friends.
Loud out of work.
Oh,
All right, Nana.
honestly, and as well, I've
It's
never
fucking
seen the
Nana.
bar looking like this. It is unbelievable. Like, can this just stay like this forever? I feel like I'm in Hawaii,
Okay.
but colder. And also, we've got for people who registered for the event, you would have either received in the real life post off the Royal Mail or the virtual post a drinking game. So have you all got yours? We didn't realise that we are creatures of habit and say these don't count. Words like literally and
Potentially.
a lot.
Potentially we're creatures of habit. Whatever.
Here laughter, here numbers. Basically, if you've got the drinking game, I won't read the whole thing out, but there's rules and encouraging sensible drinking.
Obviously, drink responsibly,
Yeah.
gamble responsibly.
You can drink water.
I don't know, do whatever you do responsibly.
But do it.
Also, pirate jokes.
Pirate joke, yes. Yeah, sorry in advance. What do you have to do if there's a pirate joke? Finish your drink. Oh.
Oh, how deep are your glasses?
Woo! Be sporadic with those, Joe. Right, now you can do your bit you were going to do.
I can't remember what it was.
You're going to raise a toast.
I was going to raise a toast to Series 2 of That Mint podcast. So
Hooray!
thank you. Also,
Oh.
potentially Series 2. Down it. So today, I'm really sorry for the lads thing. So today we've got a bumper episode for you, just to give you a little bit of a taste of what it might be like. We've got some listeners' questions, probably a bit of finance chat at some point. Don't put that over my script because I didn't know what it was. And a cheeky little game, isn't it? So, you know. We're doing that. Isn't that your bit?
I don't know, that's why I was trying to steal the script. We're organised as ever. Producers, is there a little bit that we're going into, or do we just go into
No,
it?
what we're going to talk about.
So in the seeds,
Fears for fears. So we're going to be sowing the seeds about what we've done previously and what's yet to come. So, I talked a little bit about what's to come. Kathy is now going to regale you with what's been. What did we used to do? For those people who've never listened to our podcast before, what could they have been treated to? It's on the script page too. I've numbered it.
Hang on. I thought there was a thing in between. I thought there was one of those things.
You'd think
It's
she hasn't
not,
been
sorry.
prepping for this since 2 o'clock.
So, what is the Joe's written on the script. The point of that Mint podcast was to get drunk at work. So, handy, good. No, so the point of actually, where that Mint podcast originally came from, Joe and I did a webinar together, and it was a serious financial services webinar, and it was aimed at...
Say all that.
as everything we do is. They were aimed at financial advisors. I can't remember the topic, but basically we just enjoyed getting into something that was quite technical and without being overly dry about it. And then kind of thought, okay, can we do something with this? We both genuinely, jokes aside, love working in finance and think it's a career for a lot of people and they wouldn't know it. And kind of thought, okay, what can we do with this? How can we take it out there? What's a lot of the stigma around finance? We went to the pub and asked people, what do you think of when you think of financial services? And it was just awful, wasn't it? It was such a...
Oh, horrific.
It was rip-off.
Felt personally attacked.
She was personally attacked. But it just showed that what we thought was out there as a stigma was a real thing, and also just what people, if people do think of finance, I think quite often they don't think of it at all, but when they do, there's kind of cliches. So one of the things that we addressed was you don't have to just work until you're 65 and then retire, or you don't necessarily buying a house and having a big mortgage isn't for everybody, whereas you might just kind of have that ingrained to think that that's the way. We talked about the fact that getting financial advice and speaking to an advisor, you might just think, oh, that's for the rich and famous people, and actually it really, really isn't. So it was just about trying to bring our lengthy experience in finance, lengthier for some of us than others.
Whoa! I knew it! I knew it! Don't you start laughing! I knew it!
Was that one rigging on your age?
Of course it was!
I just got Gut lug.
Wow.
But taking some of that with the fact that we're maybe not that serious, and then hopefully turning it into a way of kind of getting financial services out there. And I guess for the last 6 months as well, there has been quite a lot of education around it. We've tried to break things down, the jargon stuff we've talked about. We have worked quite hard on, literally educating, I guess.
Yeah, we've done a lot of prep. Haven't we, guys? They're greater than they were when we started.
They really are.
Part of that is looking at things that are topical. So we did a couple of episodes on, that weird little thing. It was like a weird virus that went around that was kind of, it wasn't a big thing, but a couple of people
not ringing
got
any
colds
bells
and stuff. Yeah, no. So we did a couple of things like that. And actually, funnily enough, giving the guy the wink, because he's not looking, producer Mark isn't looking, but recently, actually, we tried to keep on top of all of the current topical things and anything new that happens in finance. We'd like to think that we can look at it, decipher it, decode it, and just talk about it in normal terms. But funnily enough, you came to me the other day, didn't you?
It was to be like little magic music. Yes, so we were in the office, definitely not skiving and drinking wine. But there was quite a lot of, I guess, headlines around the change in pension ages. And it's just such a tricky concept for people to understand. And we just thought, it's happening right now. Let's just get on it. Let's film it. Let's, talk this through and turn it into something that'd be useful for the podcast. And also give ourselves a breather during the live show so that we can drink some more wine. So here's what we talked about then.
What did you want to talk to me about?
Well, this stuff in the news about the pension ages increasing. Now, this is something we knew about anyway, because it's been tabled for at least the last 6 years, but it's just been made legal, I think, and therefore it's absolutely all over in the headlines, and I just thought it was a good one for us to unpick as part of the podcast.
I also worry that I think these headlines are very kind of basic information and they lead people a certain way.
Literally, the headline here is, it's been described as a kick in the teeth.
Oh.
Which feels very...
intense.
Quite intense.
Yeah, it's more like a kick in the wallet, isn't it, than a kick in the teeth.
It is. What's your thoughts on the increase?
If all of the time that we were growing up and everybody knew about the pensions and it was always 67, it wouldn't be an issue. I think it's a decent age.
Yeah.
It's the difference is that it used to be 60. That people are, for women, it used to be 60, and for men it used to be 65. And
so there's two pension ages. There's the state pension, which has increased to 67, and the age at which you can access your own personal pension has been confirmed that it's increasing to 57.
A little bit what I disagree with, where they say people want to work longer, but I don't like it when, the government will tell us what we want. I want to work longer, but it doesn't mean that, the person next door who works on digging roads all day wants to work a couple of extra years. But it is about having less people reliant on the state pension, because the truth of the matter is that potentially now and certainly in the future there will not be enough money to pay for everybody's state pensions. Yeah. So actually, my theory is that they will just keep putting it back and putting it back and putting it back and saying, yes, you can have a state pension, but you'll have to be 90.
Well, it's like getting that you play with a dog where you're like, you're just like sliding it on the floor, just scurrying
after it. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly, yeah.
But, like livelihood.
Yeah, actual life, yeah.
And I think the thing with your personal pension, so that's one that's gone from 55 to 57. You're right, it's not old, and actually is that 2 years a huge difference. But for me, that's my personal pension, it's my money. Like, why? There's logic in saying right now I can't access it until I'm 55 because it's a way of making people save and then not getting excited and booking a trip to Vegas and spending it. But then don't keep moving it. Like, that's my money. That's not something I'm getting from the government. And if I want to have 55, why can't I have it?
Yeah, but why 55? Then why can't you have it at 50 or
Stop
45?
in Vegas. Because the increase kicks in from 2028. So if you were 47 right now in 2020, then in 8 years' time, in 2028, you'd be 55.
Yes.
So anybody who's 47 and over, they'll turn 55 before these changes happen. So 47-year-olds and over aren't affected, so you're safe. However, if you're under 47, you won't reach age 55 before these changes come in. So this literally impacts everybody aged under 47. And mortality now, compared to sort of 10, 20 years ago, is much, much longer. So if you're not expected to die until you're in your late 80s, and the government's paying you a state pension from 65, it's a longer time, whereas they'll keep pushing that back, in theory, in line with mortality. And I think that's part of it as well. It's going to keep getting pushed back. Like, these are already announced in 2028, that it'll go to 57 and 67 respectively, but that's not the end of it, is it? There's already others penciled in to keep pushing it further back.
It is, and it's not just, I guess, mortality. It's how we measure mortality as well. It's a weird old thing anyway. It can depend on your postcode, can depend on your gender. You know, there's so many different variables on it. And I read a thing the other day which was talking about when we think about people in the Middle Ages and years ago, and we used to say mortality was a lot lower, it was because so many people died in childhood, like when they were very young, and they died, because there's so many childhood illnesses. But actually, if you survived through childhood, you actually lived about the same as what we do today. Right. It's just that there was so many children died. The average was a lot lower, so we assume now people died when they were 30, but it wasn't. It was because they died either at 1 or at 60.
But I also did think that they died younger, because I thought that was the theory around why marriages used to work better, because if you got married like in your early 20s but you were going to die when you were 50, it was all right. Whereas if you get married in your early 20s and you're going to live until you're like 90, it's a long time with one person.
It is a long time, and I feel this might have some personal bearing that has nothing to do with the history and economics of the Middle Ages.
Might have made some of it up.
Also, there was a lot more poison around, so people probably just had it easier ways than divorce.
Good point.
Cheaper. Could get arsenic everywhere. Just the local corner shop.
So do you think, rather than it being age related, I wonder if there's something around if you have a certain amount of pension accumulated. The point of restricting access, the government's logic, I presume, is to make sure people can accumulate so that they've got enough money so that they can live on it and are not dependent on the state when they retire. So could it be almost like a means threshold rather than an age threshold? And if you got to a certain level of savings and that was going to be sufficient to support you in retirement, you can access it when you want.
But how do you quantify that?
Yeah,
what's
and
right
you could
for
still
one
take it out
person?
and blow it all anyway. What do you think? So if you were in your 30s, Joe,
whoa, can't remember that far back.
would you be sat right now thinking, okay, the age that I could access my pension has just moved back 2 years, I need to do something different that affects my plans, it affects like when I thought I was going to retire? Or do you think people in the 30s or even 40s are just, there's still not that kind of linking their personal retirement to this general change of age?
I think some people, certainly those who obtain financial advice, will have a very tangible goal, and they'll know when they want to retire, how much they would need to retire. But for the majority of the population, they won't. It's just a kind of pipe dream of I'll retire in my 60s. So those 2 years won't make a huge bit of difference unless you've really projected exactly how much you need and exactly when you want to retire.
I think it's important to make the point that you would have to wait another couple of years to access your pension. That doesn't mean you'd have to wait another couple of years to retire. No. And I think that's the thing. So pensions are one source of income in retirement, but like absolutely there's other sources. So if you'd been saving into an ISA, you could think, okay, well I'll still retire at 55 and I'll just use my ISA for the first 2 years because there's no restrictions on that, and then it'll be my pension after. So
do you think theoretically, so for example if someone was thinking, right, okay, well I've been putting £500 into a pension, but instead I'm just going to put it into an ISA, or
if
even a
taxable,
or even into a taxable one, so you don't have all the benefits that you get with a pension, which is that you get tax relief and you get an additional 20% from the government. But do you think then they would think, oh well, actually, I'd rather just pay the tax now, but have my funds when I want it?
I think it comes down to the individual, because like I say, you'd need to know that you have that self-control to not just suddenly think woohoo and kind of go nuts. So I like a pension, and I like investing in my pension because I like the tax relief, and I like that you can't access it, and I like it just sitting there, and it's very much a future pot and there's no alternative. However, immediately when it's moving the age, part of me just thinks, do I still want to keep putting money into a pension? Like,
What if it
I
moves
do
again to
trust
60?
myself. Exactly, yeah. Like, how far are you going to keep moving it? And I'm younger than you. I've got a much longer time frame.
All that extra 4 years.
There could be a lot more. Like literally that. What if they? And it's not unreasonable that 57 could be moved to 60, and then all of a sudden, where I've gone, okay, whenever I do retire and I have pinned it to a pension, your pension and your retirement don't have to be fixed unless that is your only source of income, and then they are. So actually, yeah, it is. It's making me think like maybe I do focus more on an ISA and just have it in an account where I can't see the login details and I don't get tempted to go nuts.
I'm not sure how many people are actually aware that when you've got personal pension, a lot of the time you get the documents through from your insurance company, Aviva, Royal London, Standard Life, and they'll say retirement age 65. And I've spoken to older relatives who think, oh, well, I can take that when I'm 65. You don't even realise you could have taken it at 55.
Yes, yeah.
And then so now there's 2 years difference. It's just confusing for everybody because there's so much different information out there.
I saw something on Twitter the other day about the information that pension companies send to people, and so part of it is it will have a default pension age in it of normally 60 or 65, which, like I say, is irrelevant in terms of the law and when you actually can access your pension. It's just how that plan was set up whenever, so people don't know that. And these same statements, there was images of them on Twitter, and even as somebody in finance, they're really hard to interpret. They don't make a lot of sense. They factor in inflation. So one of them said something like, today your pension is worth £10,000. By the time you're 60, it could be worth £8,000. And it's just the way that they've built in inflation, the assumptions that they've used. But if you were Joe Blogg sat at home and you've got this, and you're suddenly going, hang on a minute, I can't access it until I'm 60, and it's just going down and down. What on earth is going on?
People do get those kind of statements. We could help them. We could translate it, decipher it, obviously confidentially, but if they wanted to send us some jargon or some paperwork they've got from anything to do with finance, we can tell them what it really means in real terms.
So what, kind of do a future episode on it, actually have somebody's statement, remove their name, and talk it through exactly what it means,
like,
how
and
to
this is what it
interpret it, and then if you've got similar paperwork at home, you can kind of follow along and then hopefully be able to use that to kind of understand your own stuff.
Yep.
How very altruistic of you, Jo.
Oh, thank you. I am. Yeah, I know. I'm the Bob Geldof of finance. Welcome back. Cathy found that extremely interesting. She absolutely loves pensions, you wouldn't believe. For those of you guys who are playing the drinking game, sorry. And I think I counted at least 2 incidents where Cathy, picked on my age there. But to be fair, I kind of asked for it when I start referencing medieval death rates. So, there is that. I guess some of the points from that, what we'd like to pick up is there's a lot of interesting financial things there, apart from, divorce rates and how many kids die in the medieval times, and where you can buy arsenic. So pensions and ISAs are an interesting concept, and it's something that comes up a lot in finance. Should you have a pension? Should you have an ISA? Should you buy property? Should you buy gold or cryptocurrency and things? And Cathy, who is definitely not laughing at pensions, will probably have something to say on that matter.
Oh, thanks for that, Jo.
You're very welcome.
I would have said sorry, Jo. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, looking back on that video, it shows that we can be serious sometimes, ironically, and that there is genuine things that are happening out there that do impact on people, and maybe they don't think it's impacting on them. It's kind of where the age reference came in, as to, it feels like such a long time away. It's not kind of something I need to worry about, and actually it really is. But then right at the end of that, and it was a genuine kind of moment that I had where I thought, well, actually, should I keep paying into a pension? Like, is that the right thing? If there's going to be restrictions, if there's not a financial benefit to it, what's the reasons for doing it? And we were going to start trying to crunch some numbers around pensions and ISAs, and if we put it into here and if we put it into there, and how it would look.
And rather save than pay off a mortgage.
Exactly,
all of those things.
Yeah,
So many
variables. Yeah, it's literally that, there is so many. And then Jo made the point, so I've got a frustration, which is I read the Sunday Times, and they always ask, every week they have a section where they ask a
Poindexter. What a nerd. Nerd.
Go and sit with the dev team, shall I? Just yell nerd at me. I do like it. It does have finance stuff in it, and they ask a question every week, which is better for retirement, pension or property, and it drives them up the wall. It's not a logical question. It makes no sense whatsoever. And that was one of the things that we were talking about, was actually that debate got into, is it pension or ISA, which is a much more nuanced, but therefore actual something that you would come across day-to-day debate. And I think it just shows how, even we're sat here with 110 years finance experience between us. I'm sorry, it's too easy. It's too easy. Even with all that experience between us, there isn't a way of keeping your prompt cards on the sofa, and there isn't a single right answer. And I guess that's kind of the main point with finance, isn't it?
There's pros and cons, and there is, what we've said before, so many variables, and it is, and I know this sounds like an advert, but we're not completely biased. It just shows the benefit of having good financial planning and financial advice, and the difference it can make. It's literally hundreds of thousands of pounds. When we talked about in our very, very first episode, we actually did crunch the numbers because we hadn't been drinking wine, and you could keep hold of prompt cards.
Those two things are not related. They sound like they are, but they're not.
We'll see. Answer on a Slido. We did look at that, and honestly, the difference it can make from just the additional saving of like a tenner a week, and how you save it and what you do with your cash could be the difference between being a bum or a millionaire. It's probably not that.
No, it's
deep.
quite extreme, yeah.
It was quite extreme, yeah.
Could not be a bum.
It's probably the difference between me or Kathy. It's Camden or Darlington. But it's huge, and I think what we try to do is just take away that kind of, what you said before, the stigma, the fear, the unknown of it all, and actually what can the difference make. What I like to do, because I am not old, is be on trend and look at all of the...
on trend.
Is that not a thing? Is that not what the kids say? What do the kids say?
Oh yeah, I'm on trend.
Hey guys, I'm on trend.
Do you remember when I was talking about the medieval times? That was like just more my style. But I do like to try and keep on top of... The thing with finance is that it changes all the time. If you're not in there, you have no idea. And I'm sure you think the same. You know, if you're in the engineering trade, that'll change, and we don't know what's different in bridges. If you're in supermarkets, I don't know what's different in lemons. Literally, I don't know, but finance changes so much. So what we try to do is, you know, keep on top of it, which is why we started talking about the pension aid, because it was really, really current, wasn't it?
It was. You know, 2.5 hours ago when we started discussing it.
Oh.
So anyway, Joe, did you get a new will?
What? My point was, what she's jumped ahead to was that with financial services, a lot of people will think, oh, you know, I need to have a will. I need to do something and I'll need a professional to help me with it.
And in one of our episodes, that's literally what happened. We had that discussion. Joe didn't have a will. We wrote one down on the basis that until you got an official one done, that was your legal will. So my point is, have you got a will? Have you usurped it, or am I still entitled to all of your shoes and wine?
Oh, I'm sorry, kids, you've got a new mama.
Most countries' currencies are linked to the gold standard. If Joe or Kathy competed in the Olympic Games, who would win gold and in what sport?
Ooh, what's the one where you do all of the different... Is it like... not triathlon?
I would say...
Joe would win a gold medal in talking rubbish.
Joe in javelin. I just think that she could probably just throw a javelin really far. So yeah.
What's it called? The one where you do like 3 things. What's that called? Is it a triathlon? No, what's the thing in Olympics when you do like the javelin, the hammer and the whatever?
Is drinking wine a sport? She'd definitely win gold for that.
Like, I'm genuinely asking because I can't think what it's called. What did the runner lady do?
Decathlon.
Decathlon? Is that in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Can I start again?
So no, you don't think Kathy would like be able to just be so competitive that she just wins something?
I think she'll be so competitive, she'll probably try to sabotage Joe from winning. Yeah.
I think Kathy would do a decathlon because she's always got so much going on and she wants to win everything.
Yay!
I just
Right.
get really excited when the producer goes like,
Go!
yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah, this. So this is our very professional setup for a game. So as Joe mentioned,
Definitely not a desk divider.
not desk dividers. Desks aren't falling apart down there like dominoes banging around.
Yep, not a thing.
So as Joe mentioned, there's a new format to That Meant podcast. In future, there will be games that are audio-based. We thought we'd try and do something a bit visual, tying it in with finance. There's logic to all of this insanity. We haven't done a run-through. It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Will be interesting.
The point of it is to discuss inflation. Woo! Exciting topics. Woo! Inflation.
Woo! Not as excited as they were over pensions.
Which is measured by a basket of goods. So, Joe, would you like to explain what a basket of goods is, or CPI?
No. So you might have heard CPI, Consumer Price Index. It's basically where the government looks at how much you paid for a group of things, a basket of goods. Imagine a supermarket basket. Visual. Imagine a supermarket basket. And in there is the products that you would buy, you know, your standard groceries, but also services that you would use, how much you paid for them last year and how much you pay for them this year.
Yes.
And the difference is how they gauge what the inflation is. So, you know, when people talk about shrinkflation and, oh my gosh, the price of Freddos have gone up, it's exactly that. It's how much you paid last year and how much you paid this year for a range of services.
Exactly.
Which shows that inflation through the government is driven by the consumer and how much they're willing to pay for things.
And so,
Oh, do you remember when I was all serious for a minute there about inflation?
I mean, that deserves a drink.
I don't think that was on the game.
So the point of it is what goes in and out of the basket of goods each year very much reflects what's happening in society. So yes, it measures inflation. It's a nice technical thing, but actually it kind of impacts what's happening in the world, which is why we've got a 2019, a 2020, but also a lockdown. So actually what's happened to the basket of goods during lockdown, and if you think about the way that your spending habits would have changed while you were in lockdown, you were stuck in the house and all you could do was try and buy flour or plaster. You couldn't get plaster, could you?
Oh no, Kim, do you remember when I got you some black market plaster? That was amazing.
And it was dodgy as to get some plaster.
Just in the back.
Literally, because everyone was doing DIY. Like,
Well,
so, yeah,
oh yes,
yeah,
I
for
mean,
that.
yeah.
So, we haven't got all of the time to go through it. There's literally, in a normal year, hundreds of things in a basket of goods. We haven't got hundreds, we've got a number of them. The aim with this is to say, was this item that we pull out the basket of goods included in 2019, or was it still included during lockdown when the world changed and not a lot was included? Hint. And now that we're on the other side of lockdown and they've got a 2020 measure, is that included? So I'm going to pull a good out of the basket.
Deliberately got a confused face because I had no idea about this game.
I know, so I brought in a basket from my 4-year-old son this morning because, you know, we're just growing up super late kids games.
Has anybody recently done an exam on inflation? Oh, deafening silence, that was helpful.
Oh, this is a good one to pull straight out. So
wine?
gin,
Oh.
where would you put it? Do you think it was included in 2019, still included in lockdown, or is it a 2021?
Lockdown.
Oh, I give him a...
Absolutely. I didn't even like gin. I only took it up in lockdown through necessity. You know,
Mother's ruin.
Mother's ruin, exactly
Before
that.
I take over looking
Yeah,
after your
I'm
child.
all about the lockdown gin.
So interestingly, wrong. So gin was new in 2020. Pop it on your side, please.
Because of lockdown.
It was added due
liked
to
it.
high consumer spending and because of the big variety in flavours.
Interestingly, Copperberg gin.
Copperberg gin?
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. Oh, now you were
Oh!
making the inflation. I think gin is making a big comeback, and because I'm just so contrary, I've gone on to whiskey. Because everybody likes gin now,
Oh,
so I've
yeah.
decided to go into whiskey.
You don't like to be a sheep, do you?
No,
Like
no,
some.
I just like to be awkward.
Right, you mightn't think of it as an item, but actually bank overdraft charges. So again, the point of a basket of goods is what
Can
are
we
people
talk about
spending.
gin again?
What are people spending money on? So what do you think about bank overdraft charges?
Well, it's got to be a lockdown thing, hasn't it? People are blooming losing jobs. Oh, it's almost like somebody needs a vision or a mission for it.
I mean,
he looks depressed,
I
doesn't
feel
he?
like you shouldn't work in finance because you're wrong again. So it's a 2019 one and it's been dropped since.
I'll never be able to afford gym when I'm made redundant. I wonder how much my charges are on my bank overdraft.
So international regulations mean that interest payments and interest-like charges have to be excluded, so they've all been dropped. Don't snore at inflation.
Sorry.
You pick one.
Okay. Ooh, a car battery! Car battery, let me think. 2019?
It is 2019. You can keep your job.
Good job, because I couldn't get to work.
Environmental stuff, people are caring more about the environment, and actually that was a big expense back then. So literally the government are going, people are spending less on it because they're going for electric cars.
Interesting.
Pointing at you because you're going down that route. And therefore it's not reflective of 2020 in the basket of goods. We'll do one more.
Oh, is lockdown just going to be paracetamol? Toilet paper. Is it going to be toilet paper?
I want to see if toilet paper was on there.
Restaurant cup of tea? Who's going to a restaurant for a cup of tea?
I'm going to assume like
a Costa.
a
or something.
Costa, yeah.
Other ones are available. But also, yeah, for coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can make
Oh,
a cup
yeah.
of tea. Oh, are you a milk first person?
You know I am. It's the only way.
You're lame. So, I don't know, 2020, because people are nuts now.
Yes, because apparently
Reasons. Because reasons.
I feel like the reasons are wrong because it says they appeared due to stockpiling, but who's stockpiling restaurant cups of tea?
Boston Tea Party.
Let's do one more and assume that maybe something wasn't accurate.
Ooh, leg of lamb, frozen.
Oh.
Let it go. Let it go. Let us have a think about whether this. Oh, interesting. Is that an Australian flag? Oh, go on, Squinty.
New Zealand, isn't it?
Anyway, leg of lamb, frozen. I guess frozen food's probably a lockdown thing, isn't it? When everybody started stockpiling in end times. Stop taking things off my lockdown board.
You were right with pointing out New Zealand. It's the environment again.
Oh, I didn't point out New Zealand because I didn't know flags. I thought it was Australia.
Oh, you were right in pointing out a country.
Thank you.
Travelling, environment.
Thank you. I actually thought it was the EU first, but I didn't want to look stupid.
Well done on avoiding that little trap.
You're welcome.
Right, so the point of that was to show just how different, when you're measuring inflation, it's what's representative of the UK and how people are spending at that time and how much it can vary. There is a lot more. We're running out of time.
Is there anything interesting? Kathy, is there anything interesting that was in the lockdown pile that you might have on your notes that I don't have?
No?
Oh, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to
I think she's trying to say interesting because nobody's drinking.
What about Wills?
No, that was last time, Jane. That was.
We've talked Wills, Jane, man, come on.
I think we're just rolling VT.
So, figuring out the right pension scheme is confusing and a little bit terrifying. If you had to spend the night in a haunted house, would you rather have Joe or Kathy for protection?
Ah, Kathy.
I'm going to go with Joel, and I think this is because I'm pretty sure Kathy's terrified of spiders. So if we're in a haunted house, I'm pretty sure there'd be big spiders in there.
Because she'll like fight all the ghosts away.
I think Jo, because she's from Camden.
What's the reputation of Camden?
I feel like it's a brain over brawn thing. Like I feel like Joe would be good to knock the ghosts out, but Kathy would be smart and find like a secret route.
Kathy and Joe are both experts in all things finance and investment. So, if you received a £10,000 windfall, whose fashion line would you invest in?
I would invest in Kathy's fashion line.
Probably Kathy. Kathy, I think. Yeah.
Why Kathy?
Because she always wears nice floaty skirts.
Sorry Joe, it's definitely Kathy on this one. She always wears nice skirts.
Oh, 100% Kathy. She was just wearing a skirt the other day. I absolutely loved it.
What was so special about this skirt?
I don't even know. It was amazing. It was a shape. It was just so elegant.
I just think variations of different styles she can pull off.
Poor Joe.
No one's in there. Oh no.
Are we ready? Amazing, live TV. One of the things we really enjoy, and it isn't, really quickly moving desk dividers. One of the things we really enjoy about the podcast is the interaction. So things on our Twitter and our inbox, and when people get in touch to talk about real life things. So one of the things that we did do recently when we were in the office, pre-recorded, FYI, probably more professional than this, was we looked at some listeners' questions. So get ready for it. Roll VT. Nice.
Oh yeah.
How goes it? Can't drink it.
Oh. Take it back.
Look at all these questions are. You ready?
Yes.
Quick fire. Do you want to go first?
Right. Well, I'll pick it out first so you can answer it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Ooh. If you had £300 a month to save and your emergency fund was complete, what would you do? Would you overpay on your mortgage, overpay or put extra into your pension, or put it into a medium-term savings account? Or is there a D, an option D?
Personally, for me, medium-term savings account. My pension's already been paid. I've already got my ISA. Mortgages are just such low interest rates that, and such a long-term thing. I've got no issue with just leaving my mortgages run as it is. I change it every couple of years. So yeah, for me, medium-term savings.
Okay.
I think. What about you?
I don't think that's how it works. Come on, quick fire. Next.
Oh, big question.
Oh, give me the glass of hot. Oh no, I'm just being ridiculous. Go on.
Madam Diva here. Do you want to hold the glass?
Candy, yeah.
Oh. So we're going to pick this one. Oh gosh, this is a long one. Growing up, there was always a myth that getting things on tick or credit cards should be avoided at all costs. It's still very much ingrained in me, says the question person. Do you think it could be used well as a way of managing money or disposable income in a certain period of time?
Oh, I mean, that was
Lots of questions, isn't it?
paragraph.
How do you feel on
Oh, well, I was
credit
going to say
cards
right
and
at the
tick?
beginning where it says it was ingrained in me that was a bad thing. Mine was the opposite experience. It was like, ooh, there's more tick available. Free sofa for everyone.
What kind of stuff did you have on tick when you were a kid?
Literally everything. I think my school uniform was on tick at one point. Definitely like the sofas, TV where you put your pound coins in the back.
So do you think there's a place for it in the world?
I think the problem with tick isn't tick being just stuff on kind of short-term credit. I don't think that is necessarily a problem because people haven't always got the ability to pre-save up. The problem with it is that they're available to people with lower credit ratings and they charge them ridiculous interest rates, and that's the difficulty. So I think credit cards have a place, but it comes back down to it's boring, but the sensible behaviours, like not just overspending, not just getting a pair of gold trousers.
It's
got a place.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, your turn to hold the glass.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know why I'm into glass holding. Ooh, what one thing would you change about your money situation?
Oh, I'd have more of it. Next. I would like more wishes. Thank you. It's not even just about having more money, it's about having the disposable income. I think the position I'm at in life now is not a bad one, but I do have, children coming up to university age and an older one still living at home, and my husband's starting a new job, and coming out of the COVID lockdown where I've spent thousands on the house and eradicated my savings is a funny time at the minute. So I guess, I'd like to rebuild back up my savings at the minute. That's where I'm at personally.
Yeah.
But out of interest, you just moved into a house. What would you do differently?
I mean, the last 20 years of my life, to be honest.
Come on.
No.
I'm just giving you it to hold because you're such a
Can't work
diva.
it out.
Right, okay. Oh, this is interesting. Should money be taught in schools?
Yes.
I do think it's interesting though. You know how kind of it's something you can teach without all of these. I didn't do well at cookery because I was very much the person who said on the morning, "Oh, I need all of these ingredients." Have you got any
My mum was there
baking
trying to get them on take. They give you 5 cents a week for the flour.
Get them in a little baggie and then you take them back to school. That's a different, completely different conversation, isn't it?
My question is, why is there no wine in that wine glass? Do you have a budget?
Yes, I do. I do try to stick to it as well. I have a loose budget because I do all of the family shopping and, I get all of the bills, and if there's any unknown commodities, so for example, when we have to pull out for school uniform things, I pay for all of that. My husband has got a very specific pocket money budget that I give him, which is 500 quid a month, and that's all he's allowed.
The Iron Man mouse that you just bought him.
I bought him. That was a
You
little
bought out
gift.
your budget.
Yeah.
That's nice of you.
It was non-essential spending.
School
I do
uniform.
allow, so I have obviously I've got like a kind of a spurious
Very
let's go out and
organised.
get drunk budget. Do you not have a budget?
I've got the last one. Let's go and get drunk budget. 100% of my savings.
All of the budget. No, I'm picking it. Give it to me. I'm asking you a question. Why is there still no wine in the wine glass? If you had the money to pay off a student loan, would you? And is it a good idea to take a student loan, even if you don't need it? What if you could invest it?
So, interestingly, I have paid off my student loan. And I don't know why, because it's not something that sits on your credit record, but it was just like a personal ambition that before I got into like pension savings and stuff, I wanted my student loan cleared. But no, I wouldn't take one out just to invest. When I, in the olden days, took one out, the interest rates on them were next to nothing. But that's not the case now, and actually I don't think that sort of leveraging is wise
almost
anyway.
kind of, would you, if you had loads of equity in your house, would you take out an extra mortgage to then invest it elsewhere? You know, it's
Exactly
that,
that,
kind of
yeah.
thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
just because it's cheap to borrow doesn't mean you should. Yeah.
If you don't need the money, don't borrow.
I don't know where we're at with the glass. Is it you? Is it me?
I'm really just nervous in case there's a question I don't know the answer to. Please don't let it be this one.
What is the square root of
12.
Why are many in society more inclined to believe or take financial advice from a man in the pub than from an actual financial advisor?
I think it's just a trust thing, isn't it? You believe what your friends say or people who you know just because you don't think they'll lead you wrong. All you ever hear about financial services is the bad press and somebody you don't know, and actually there's so much kind of negativity out there that there's a very big conception of financial services and them trying to take your money, so there's just such mistrust there that people aren't going to trust
It's
them.
such an oxymoron though, because you do trust your friends because they're your friends, but they don't know anything, and it is literally the blind leading the blind. Like
It is. My turn, get off.
Yeah, my turn. Right, let's do one more before we
Okay.
genuinely go and get the wine.
All right, fair enough.
What are
a
your
doozy.
doozy? What are your thoughts on Black Friday?
Oh, I am so against consumerism. I just think it's ridiculous, and I'm one of those people who are annoying and buy my Christmas presents earlier in the year, because I think for things that I buy for the kids or PlayStation or something like that, they increase the prices so much up towards Christmas. If you buy something in December compared to when you buy it in September, the difference is,
Really?
Yeah, there's a difference in cost.
Okay.
Just in that run up to Christmas, it's always more expensive. So say something was normally 150 quid, it might be 200 quid throughout October, and then on Black Friday it's 150 quid, and everyone's like, oh my god, yeah, it's 150 quid, look how much I've saved, because last week it was 200 quid, but actually it's always been 150. It's just that false economy, and I think they change the value so much
So
over the
you
year to
don't
confuse
use
people.
Black Friday to go and buy a pair of trousers that you don't like and doesn't fit, but has 95% off?
No, absolutely not. But I
definitely don't have a wardrobe full of that type.
absolutely love Black Eye Friday, which is a northern tradition of going out before Christmas, which I'm all for,
I'm all for
and I've got a budget for.
Black Friday budget.
It's quite high.
Do you know what?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How much did we enjoy watching that back? How much did we forget?
I mean, that's not the way it works. But
How many wishes would you like?
Well, yeah, there is
We
infinite wishes.
did enjoy doing those questions. We thought we would take a little risk and do a couple more live, and I have absolutely no idea what's in
The
here.
risk.
It is
Those people who are in finance know about risk. There is no capacity for loss here.
There's no capacity for loss. But also, I hope you're all paying attention because you're getting involved.
Oh my God, I hope one of them is what's your favourite pirate joke? Whoa!
A, drink, and B, what's your favourite pirate joke?
Really?
Yeah.
It's not, is it? It's something about
what is your favourite pirate joke? Did you read your pirate joke on a card?
No. Why do pirates bury their treasure 18 inches deep? Because booty is only shin deep.
Is there a VT to all? Is there a VT?
No, there isn't. I've got another one. Actually, was it 2? Right, okay, answer this seriously. What is a pirate's favourite letter of the alphabet?
Has to be R.
No, it be the C.
No.
I'm so pleased somebody said R. JJ's my
no
favourite.
way.
Give that man a raise.
In no way do I think the question of should I be putting additional contributions into my
Blah.
question lowers that tone whatsoever. Oh, yes.
Okay, so interestingly, if you were a pirate, how much of your monthly income should you save? Genuinely, how much of your monthly income should you save?
Up into the floor.
20%?
I feel like 20. Bit of a pluck, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends how much you earn, doesn't it? If you're on like a YTS and you only get 30 quid a week, is that still a thing? You know, 20% is like 6 quid. Ooh, can't do that. It's nuts.
Do I need protection? I presume.
From me, if you don't stop with the chew about this isn't a question. And you know, she's got a date on Saturday, so there's that.
Right, anyway, so...
All right, sorry.
That is
Scratch
it.
that. Is that
is
live?
it for that Min podcast.
Is it live?
This is not
Can
how
you
we...
cut that?
Joe. No. This is, so that is it for that Min podcast. We think we've had enough? Yep, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So we are going to take a moment, wheel in the developers from the hack team and see how they've got on today.
No, just the
Keep
screen.
going.
Jazz.
We're going. We're live. Bring it in.
Live.
Bring it in.
Here we go. This
Was
looks
it
like
long
a
enough,
sexy.
was it?
No, it's not the last day of school, everybody.
Good job, you got the plug. Shall I sing Tears for Fears again?
Yeah.
God.
Who
you
wants
need
to
to
hear
give
another
up?
pirate joke?
Kim, firstly, while that's getting plugged back in, how are the developers?
Right, okay.
Are they
Still
still alive?
in the corner. I do just want to say a massive thank you, guys,
Yeah.
for all the hard work today. Like, you've really kind of gone above and beyond.
Literally 12 hours of coding. I went in early and they were kind of rubbing their eyes and just really struggling to be in one piece.
They have done a fantastic job. It's now live. Well, it's created a brand new CPD tool. Thank you so much to everybody who voted. Essentially, we've built the new CPD section within the system. I know we had some comments before in the earlier section when we were doing the We Are Live part of the show around that you can't clock the amount of hours you're doing on a particular subject type. I think Charlotte had commented on that. So actually the new tool will allow you to clock the amount that you spent on either your pensions or protection, for example, if you want to clock your 15 hours for your IDD. Also, you lucky people who are still DB advisors, you've got an extra 15 hours to do as of today. Go. So the tool will now, if you've selected yourself as a PTS, a pension transfer specialist, it'll now show a total of 50 hours at the top, which I know you mentioned at the start. One of the things that we want to be able to do with the technology, I guess, is be responsive to change, which was part of the whole idea of doing the hackathon in the first place. So it's here. We can import the CPD records from other sources.
It's just lovely.
Don't want
Look
to
how
click around
pretty.
on it too much, just in case. But it
Because
exists.
you put a wire out the back again.
It exists.
There is
They've been
that.
working on it.
When will we
All
watch
day.
Cosmo and Dibs?
What on earth is Cosmo and Dibs?
Like off of like the end of school when we used to watch. All right, okay. Can you tell me why one of the tabs is rounding? Is it like how do you round up your expenses for 12 hours of work?
I mean, tabs is rounded.
No, it says rounding. How do you do rounding?
Well done, development. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
so much. You've done a brilliant job.
And I'm sorry, Joe's just called you nerds all day long. That looks amazing. Oh, genuinely, it looks amazing. I absolutely love that. It's absolutely
It is, yeah.
just brilliant.
Wheel it off so I can make the noise again. Yep. Boom, 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 boom. Thanks, Kim.
Woo! Do you know what's funny? When we do our podcast episodes normally, there may be sort of 30 to 40 minutes of podcasting, but it's probably about 3 to 4 hours of recording, and that's how much nonsense they have to cut out. So if you feel like it's a little bit tonight, it's nothing. Like it's absolutely nothing compared to what we normally do.
You know, we're all about self-development, and I appreciate it's mostly me. So,
on that note,
yeah, just we're getting we're right on time. We're bang on. So just a few thank yous. So our usual credits. I'd like to thank you for watching this time or listening. Thank you to the Art of Finance, who's our sponsor. Thank you very much. Huge thanks to our marketing team, who we literally couldn't do without, and we have actually physically broken today. So
we have, and I'm just going to say, Sam was literally working until 1:45 this morning.
And actually,
ready.
as I was
It's
talking to her
unbelievable.
earlier, a thing came up on the phone saying make an appointment at the doctor's. So sorry, Sam.
Separate things, but thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Oh, massive thanks to Mark and Glenn at Second Draft. Yeah, I know they messed up that video. It's all right, don't worry, lads.
And the visuals for a bit, but
They've
it's fine.
literally
it's fine.
done everything today. I mean, feel free. Oh, that's a rude gesture. There's no need for that. And thank you to those amazing vineyards who bring us the wine.
Couldn't do it without you guys.
Couldn't do it without you. Absolutely not.
Can we do the review? If you listen to the podcast, if you've listened to it in the past, or you've watched this and you're about to listen to it because we haven't terrified you too much, if you can rate, review, subscribe. We've got a mailing list. We send outtakes and particularly inappropriate bits to people that run the mailing list and aren't easily offended. So feel free to sign up to that as well.
I would like to say that if only a small amount of people who have watched this tonight even subscribe, then 3.14% are pirates.
Is that fact? Is it?
Pirates. 3.14.
Oh my God. Okay, cheers guys.
Wrong
Thank you. Should I just move the dog ball? Just asking to be spilt, isn't it?
What should I be doing? Spin run. Oh, I've dropped my mic. Oh no, I haven't.
Get it off the table. I'm moving in a nice shot.
Otherwise it's sticking up my bot. Pop it on the floor. In fact, let's just get everybody in the car park, mud wrestle for a TV. That'd be better.
It would be.
She must be in a trailer, is she? Jesus.
Get my makeup done. Thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about why I'm wearing a 15-year-old's top? Stop VT. Unroll VT. What's the opposite of roll?